The first sound wasn't the knock. It was the grind of tires on gravel on a road where no vehicle should be. I froze at the cabin's window, steam rising from my coffee mug, as a silver SUV slid into my hidden clearing. Headlights sliced through the pines like knives. This wasn't just anyone. Out stepped Karen. Crisp slacks. Pearl necklace. That smug smile she wore like a crown, as if the entire world belonged to her. She waved at me, casual, like this visit was expected. It wasn't. Then came the knock, sharp, demanding. "James!" she called, her voice sugar-coated but lined with steel. "You knew I'd be using the cabin this weekend. Why's your truck here?" My grip on the mug tightened. My cabin, my land. My father's retreat, passed down to me in his will. No one had a claim but me. I opened the door only a crack, enough to meet her eyes. "This isn't a timeshare, Karen, it's mine." She tilted her head, feigning confusion. "Oh, don't be difficult. You're hardly ever here. I told the board months ago I wanted it for my sister's birthday." Everyone agreed. "Didn't they tell you?" Her words landed like stones, smooth, casual, bold. She was rewriting reality in daylight, daring me to believe it. I stepped out onto the porch, forcing calm into my tone. No one asked me. Even if they had, the answer would have been no. This place isn't for rent, not for loan, not for you. Her smile stiffened, revealing the iron beneath. "James, be reasonable. Just 2 nights. You can't hoard the cabin all to yourself." I almost laughed at the audacity, but the coldness in her eyes held me still. This wasn't a request. It was a demand wearing polite clothes. "No," I said again, louder this time. For a heartbeat, the forest hushed, until a raven's cry cracked the silence. Karen's face burned red. She stormed down the steps, fumbling for her phone. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "I'll call the police. Let them handle you." I wanted to laugh, but the knot in my chest only tightened. Out here, miles from neighbors, no witnesses, what story would the cops believe? The SUV roared to life, spitting gravel as it tore away. My cabin no longer felt like a sanctuary. It felt like the first rumble of a storm I wasn't prepared to face. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been bluster. Karen's threats dissolving like mist over the lake. I chopped firewood, busying myself with chores to silence her voice in my head. But then I heard it, low at first, then rising, the shriek of sirens. They cut through the mountains, sharp and merciless, until the sound pressed against my chest. Red and blue lights flickered between the trees. 2 patrol cars crunched up my driveway, their presence heavier than Karen's SUV. My throat dried. The first officer climbed out, tall, broad, hand resting near his holster. His partner followed, notebook already in hand. "You James Porter?" the tall one asked. "Yes," I said carefully. "What's this about?" The partner scanned his notes. "We received a call. Said you're illegally occupying this property. Refused to leave when told." The words felt unreal, like dialogue in someone else's play. "Illegally? This is my cabin, my land. I've got the deed inside," the taller officer frowned. "We're not here to take sides. Just need both accounts." And right on cue, Karen's SUV glided back into the clearing. She stepped out like an actress hitting her mark, arms folded, voice dripping outrage. "There he is! I told you he's trespassing. This place is for community use. He thinks he owns it." The officers glanced between us. My jaw locked. I wanted to laugh, but the seriousness in their eyes froze me. "Come inside," I urged quickly. "I'll show you the deed, the will, everything," Karen scoffed. "Don't let him fool you with fake papers. He's been squatting here for months." Her lie struck harder than the sirens. My father's handwriting was on those documents, his legacy, and she was trying to erase it with a single poisonous claim. The officers exchanged a look. One nodded. "All right, let's see what you've got." I led them in, heart pounding. Karen trailed close, her heels clacking on the porch like she already owned the place. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was war, and she'd come armed. This was war. The cabin felt smaller, its walls tense like they, too, were holding breath. I spread a thick folder across the oak table my father had built. My palm sweated as I opened to the deed, notarized and yellowing, along with the letter he'd written before he died. "Here," I said, my voice steady. "This proves it. This land, this cabin, It's mine. The officers leaned in, eyes scanning. One tapped his pen, studying the details. For a moment, hope flickered. Then Karen swept forward, perfume clashing with wood smoke. She gestured dismissively. Those could be forged. Anyone can print papers and make them look old. The board approved my use months ago. He's lying. Her confidence cut deep. She didn't just believe her lies. She weaponized them. The tall officer cleared his throat. Ma'am, do you have any documents to back your claim? Karen blinked, then smiled sweetly. I didn't think I'd need to carry community paperwork everywhere. My word should be enough. I am on the HOA board, after all. The title hung in the air like a badge. My chest tightened. She was twisting her status into a weapon. If I didn't secure the truth now, I risked losing my father's legacy. I pulled out another paper, a county tax receipt. My name printed clear, dated only 3 months back. If I didn't own this, I asked evenly, would the county be billing me? The officer with the notepad raised his brows. He looked at Karen. Do you have anything to dispute this? Her smile faltered. Like I said, I didn't bring documents. Then her voice sharpened. But I will. And when I do, he'll regret trying to cheat the community. I locked eyes with her. No, Karen, you're not fighting for the community. You're fighting for yourself. For the first time, her mask slipped. Just a flicker of unfiltered anger. She spun on her heel and stormed outside. The officers followed, one muttering they'd file a report and check records. The door shut. Silence pressed in. My father's papers lay across the table like shields. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 2 days later, a summons slid under my cabin door in the dead of night. The HOA board had called an emergency meeting. Attendance required. Karen had wasted no time. The hall was a converted barn at the edge of town, rafters draped with faded flags and sagging string lights, folding chairs filled with neighbors who whispered as I entered. Some nodded politely. Others looked away. At the front sat the board, 5 members behind a long table, and in the center, like a queen on her throne, Karen, smiling with the same polished confidence, armor made of entitlement. James Porter, the chair announced, gavel echoing through the barn. There's been a dispute raised regarding the ownership and use of the lakeside cabin. Karen didn't hesitate. It's community property. James is hoarding it. I reserved it months ago for this weekend, and he denied me. That's against the spirit of our bylaws. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I stepped forward, voice steady. The cabin is not community property. It belonged to my father, and he left it to me. I've got the deed, the tax receipts, everything. Karen leaned in, eyes narrowing. If that's true, why has the board always assumed it was available? Why? She turned toward the neighbors dramatically. Did I have to call the police just to keep him honest? Gasps broke out. Heads swiveled. Suddenly, I wasn't just defending a cabin, I was defending my name. I drew a breath. Because she lied. She lied to all of you, to the police, and even to herself. She wanted my cabin for a weekend, nothing more. The room erupted, half doubtful, half supportive. The chair slammed his gavel. Enough! We'll review the property records with the county clerk. Until then, his eyes darted between us. Both parties are to refrain from using the cabin. The words stung like ice water. My own home, locked away by red tape. Karen's smirk spread wide. She'd gotten what she wanted, delay, doubt, and a shadow over my name. I left the barn, fists tight, whispers muffled behind the doors. The stars above were sharp and cold, but inside me a storm raged. If she wanted war, then she had it. But I wouldn't fight with rage. I'd fight with proof. The county clerk's office smelled of dust and ink, history piled high on its shelves. I carried my folder tight, each footstep on the marble floor echoing like a countdown. Behind the counter, an older man in thick glasses looked up. What can I do for you today? Property records, I said. Parcel 32 by the lake. I need every document you've got. He vanished into the back, leaving me with humming lights and restless thoughts. Karen bent the truth so easily. What if she'd found a loophole I hadn't seen? Finally, he returned, arms stacked with ledgers and manila folders. He spread them across the counter, flipping through pages with care. Here we are. Original deed dated 1963. Your father purchased outright. Taxes paid without interruption. No lines, no transfers, no HOA ownership ever. Relief surged through me like sunlight after storm clouds. This was it. Unshakable proof, but the clerk wasn't done. He adjusted his glasses. Funny thing, someone else requested these same files last week. My stomach nodded. Who? Didn't catch a name. Well-dressed woman. Blonde hair. Sounded like she knew the board. Karen. She'd been here first, digging for anything she could use. I requested certified copies, every page stamped with the county seal. The clerk sealed them into a heavy envelope, which I carried out like armor. By the time I reached the cabin, twilight swallowed the forest. My headlights swept across the clearing and froze. The door was ajar. A window shattered. Heart pounding, I rushed inside. The table lay overturned, papers strewn like fallen leaves. My father's folder ripped open, pages trampled. No! My voice cracked in the emptiness. I dropped to my knees, scrambling to gather the papers. The deed was still there, thank God, but the violation ran deep. This wasn't a dispute anymore. It was war. Then I heard it. Tires on gravel. Headlights cut through the trees. Karen's silver SUV slid into the clearing. She stepped out slowly, arms folded, face painted with false sympathy. "Oh dear," she said, feigning concern. "Looks like someone broke in." I rose, fists clenched around the deed. "You did this," her smirk sharpened. "Prove it." The night hung heavy. Her SUV's beams cast us in light like actors on a stage. And in that moment I understood. Karen wasn't after fairness. She was obsessed. She wouldn't stop until one of us broke. The sheriff, the forest itself, seemed to freeze. Crickets hushed. Wind stalled. Karen stood in her headlights, arms crossed, smirk carved deep like a scar. "You're trespassing," I said firmly, deed in hand. "This land is mine. I have every shred of proof." Her smile didn't waver. "Proof can be twisted, especially when the sheriff's office is tired of answering calls about your little shack." I stepped closer, gravel crunching under my boots. "You broke into my cabin. You destroyed my father's records. That's not twisting proof. That's a crime." Karen tilted her head, eyes gleaming. "Do you really think anyone will believe you over me?" I sit on the board. I host their fundraisers. The roar of another engine cut her off. Red and blue lights tore through the trees, flooding the clearing. 2 squad cars slid to a stop, tires spitting dirt. The sheriff himself stepped out. Hand resting on his holster, for the first time, Karen's face faltered. "Sheriff, thank goodness," she said quickly. "He's threatening me!" But the sheriff didn't look at me. His eyes tracked the shattered window, the papers scattered across the porch. "We got an anonymous tip," he said, voice calm but unyielding. "Break in at this address. Looks like we caught the suspect red-handed." Karen's mouth fell open, but no words came. Deputies moved in, asking her to step aside. She protested, voice shrill, but it was useless. The evidence lay plain across the ground. The law was no longer hers to twist. I watched as they read her rights. Her smirk dissolved, first into disbelief, then fury, then fear. She shot me one last look, eyes blazing with promises she couldn't keep. When the SUV door slammed shut behind her, the forest exhaled. Crickets sang again. Wind stirred, as if balance had been restored. The sheriff handed me a copy of the report. "Keep this for your files. You're safe here. She won't be back." I nodded, though my hands still trembled as the last taillights disappeared into the trees. Inside, I lifted the deed from the floor, brushed off the dirt, and set it gently on the table. For the first time in weeks, the cabin felt wholly mine again, not just on paper, but in spirit. My father's voice seemed to echo in the beams above, steady and proud. The war was over. The land was safe, and Karen's empire of lies had collapsed in the one place she thought untouchable. If you enjoyed seeing justice served at the cabin, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, what would you have done if Karen had shown up at your door?